Hello everyone, this is the usual stream for writing a programming language in Rust. Today I am following on from, I think it was yesterday, I had gotten some good momentum. I had happened to run out of disk space on my hard drive. Actually, now that I think of it, I was getting a bit, not annoyed, but I regretted the fact that my disk had filled up so that I couldn't save the full stream on my hard drive. But now that I think of it, I can download it from Twitch and then upload it to YouTube, so that should actually be fine and works out in the end. But regardless of that, I've been hoping to continue that momentum today. There are a few little abstractions, or one abstraction in particular, that I think could be useful in the newest work that I'm undertaking, which is the implementation of either operator assignment or operation assignment. And that's where I'll be continuing on today. And I guess just a quick recap, this is the seed programming language, which aims to be a test bed for different language features and have just a kind of generic set of typical language features. There won't be anything particularly novel or special about them in general. Typically they're hoping to be fairly uncontroversial because the language is designed to be adapted to building more interesting features on top of. And with that said, quick introduction to the environment as well. So this is running on a remote server where I use Mosh to get a stable connection. I use Tmux to divvy up the session into different sessions, windows. I guess these are different windows and panes in particular. So up here on the top right, in fact I can get rid of the bottom right one. It's served its purpose. Up in the top right I have ENTR looping to rebuild and rerun tests whenever tests or source files change. I have Vim running with essentially bog standard Vim and NerdTree plugin here on the top left, and then the bottom left I just have the shell, which I usually use for Git primarily. And so the reason that this was failing in this way is that one of the error messages has been somewhat deprecated because of the fact that the logic has changed with operator assignment. So it used to be the case that, what was it saying before? The left hand side, in fact this is no longer the case. So the left hand side of an operation assignment must be a variable. That's no longer the case, and in fact I'm going to want to make lots of different tests to show the use of operator assignment in not lots of non-variable situations. Well, it'll probably, a number of them will involve variables in one way or another, but it's the level of indirection that will be the focus. So that was an error test, I think. So runtime errors, let's take a look at that. And it was opassign LHS not var, and that's just no longer, well, that's still an issue, but the problem now is that you can't bind to an integer literal. So let's go ahead and save that. And I think, so I'm outputting at the moment a stack trace when the error gets raised, because I have Rust backtrace enabled in my environment description. So I'm actually going to get rid of that. And tests are passing again now. So what I'm going to do is add some new tests, and they're going to go into variables. Do I have, where is operator or operation assignment? So we've proper assignment, operator assignment in operations. and that's fine, but I'm going to want to put, yeah, I guess I'll put the rest of them in here as well. I'll put them into variables. Yeah, where the other one is focused more on the operations that are being performed, these tests are going to be focusing more on the variables and the types of bindings that are being invoked. So if we take a look at, let's see, so we have operator assignment variable. We'll have operator assignment for an index. And that should be what we want. We'll also range indexing. That's not going to allow object operation assignments, so I'm going to add this just to remind me to not allow that. We'll have property-based access, which is going to be basically the same thing as before, but the access is going to be like that. Again, if the left-hand side is going to be an object, that's going to be a problem. Same for lists. And any of those will be problems. Now function, yeah, function on the left hand side is a no-no as well. However, having a function call on the left hand side, yeah, that won't be allowed. So yeah, the only times where that would make sense is if a reference type is being returned, and that would be an object or an index, and even within those categories they would need to be dereferenced as well anyway. So on its own, a call won't allow this either. So those are actually all of our situations that we allow operation assignment. So with that all said, so we should see all these failures, and so we're not though. Could that, so this looks like a parse error, so it could be the case that the language grammar at the moment still only allows a variable on the left hand side. And this could be tricky. Oh no, it does allow a full expression on the left hand side. So let's, oh, am I just forgetting semicolons? that may be all that's going wrong there. Yeah. Oh, but because oh, that was alright. And so, yeah, those are just failing because the logic isn't implemented and is just being ignored at the moment rather than actually raising an error. So some abstraction that I was thinking could be nice is to do something like this. So in general, it's always going to be followed up by this scope set call. Except in this case, okay, never mind. The abstraction wouldn't be as helpful as I thought it could be, but at the same time, this much can probably still be abstracted. And so what we'll want at the end of this will be a new right hand side value. Forgot that valref with source, which was the type that's been in this evaluator or this new implementation of the language basically since the start of this new iteration, is now called sourced value. So that'll take some getting used to potentially. I should probably introduce my own result type because I do use this custom error almost everywhere anyway. Maybe I'll put that in my Scratch file. So let's see. That's more or less tricky. Oh, but I can just take a reference to the left hand side, but I can take the right hand side directly. Cool, so that does simplify that at least. So let's try it down here as well. Okay, in this scenario, it won't actually simplify because we require knowledge of we make use of the presence of the operation up here as well to retrieve the left hand side before it's used. So in that case, we don't get any benefit, but down here we do. So let's keep going. Yeah, maybe I jumped the gun a little with the pre-optimization. Let's see if there are other spots where it will be useful. So we have it on indexing of lists, indexing of objects, on variables, which will be bind next name. So that will be down here, and it'll be, yeah, this is doing something. Oh no, that is the other spot where it's being done. Range indexing. There's going to be property indexing, which again is going to be going up. No? Okay. So actually, maybe the pre-optimization was a bit premature, all right. So let's see what we have here instead. So in this case, if op is sum, then we get an error. And I'm just thinking ahead as well, because there was some semantics to do with object properties being declared that I wanted to implement. So this might actually get simplified in the future, but at the moment we'll just raise an error. So we'll want to distinguish between those two scenarios as well. So this will be, although in this case, no, it is the same error in both instances. But up here, they will be slightly different errors. So for example, if I go here and I say, this is an index, and this is object index. Undefined. And it'll be name. Down here, it will be operator on undefined prop. And so that's also going to be implemented. Here we will have we might be able to salvage some of the reuse here. What do you think, mister? Do you agree? Oh, please don't go back there. So let's see, we have, well, first of all, I'll have to add back in or introduce the new error variants, but yeah, I guess I'll go ahead and do that so that I can have the tests running. And so where should I put those? don't think you're going to fit there, mister. There you go. So let's see, what are the new error variants? I suppose they're all listed here, so I'll just make use of that. Yeah, I guess I'll just put them at the bottom here. So this will be operation on undefined index. Oh dear, what's going on there? You alright? Not sure what that's about. But anyway. And this will essentially be the same error message. However, it's useful to, at least in my opinion, have a distinct error variant for this case, so that at least at the debugging level, the two scenarios will be distinct, but in terms of error messages, it'll basically be the same. Bit vague on the error message front. I mean, it can be fleshed out a bit later, but it's fine for the moment. I mean, it's presumably not going to be a terribly common scenario. Oh, interesting. This could be possible. An operation could be performed on a list. So scrap that. The right hand side might be updated. So let's try that. So if we go back to our variables again, we now have operator assignment list. And so if we have one there, 2 there, and we print out x, then we should get 1 and 2 as the output. You okay? Okay, that's good. Okay. So now this is kind of tricky. So we've got this is not applying the operation to a list, it's applying it to a list destructuring. And the same, You okay? Do you want me to come? Okay, what's going on? Just a sec. Okay, he just needed some fresh air, I guess. So let's see, we have object to structure, and same for lists. Operation assignment list should be working, in my opinion. Property, yeah, that's what I'm going to implement now. So it makes sense that that's failing. And same for, indexing objects. So let's try this. Can I simplify that by doing that as well? Yeah, like why is it consuming name? Okay, well it's just a borrow in the first place. Okay. Whereas I guess earlier on, why is that not just a borrow of the name? Am I copying it? Oh, it's being evaluated, so then I have its own, like it's being owned by this new variable. So that's the reason for that. So let's go back here. What's going on? I'll need to make a distinct error message or error variant here as well. Okay, so that's almost all the operations handled, but I can't apply plus to list and list. I thought that was implemented, but I guess it's not. So let's see, mod binary operation. So we can add 2 integers and 2 strings, but not 2 lists. So I guess that will also need to be implemented. For the moment though, I guess I will just remove that test. The applications of apply binary operation do actually perform the set afterwards. Yeah, so I think that can be included in there as well. Cool, so that should be just about it. And if we're taking a look at feature implementations and semantic versioning, then this would be a feature addition. So that function has too many lines, and frankly I would have thought that that had hit the line limit a long time ago. So let's do a clippy ignore for that. So that will also need to be an error, and in fact I forgot to add in the error tests. So let's go ahead and do those now. So let's see, we have op on undefined index. So that will be something like this, and that will be x k plus equals 1. And then we'll have the same but on properties. Oh, that was what that was. Oh, no, it's the same thing, but property-based access. And then operation on range index. So if we have x's equal to that, and we'll just go 0 to 1 plus equals 1. That doesn't make any sense, so we'll throw an error. So let's try that. And then we'll have on a list destructure. Cool, so with all those in place, time to start actually changing the error messages. And that is line 2, and it is k is not defined. This will basically be the same, except the test name will get changed. So let's reevaluate those. I also need to update documentation. that's a bit painful. Oh well. Cool, and so we have on range index and that was 2, 1. And then basically the same thing, except we replace object with list. And I got the line numbers wrong. So let's try and update those before the tests run. No, I wasn't quite fast enough. Cool, and I will also need to do a couple of other bits. I'll need to change line lengths. Assignment operations can be used as a shorthand for assigning the result of an operation to a variable. I'll just do a quick example of an object doing the same. Oh, and that's not running anymore. Things because just file was modified, so I'll remove those changes and recompile. And that was that, and hoping that that's actually possible. So, at least syntactically, so if this happens, that's actually worthy of a panic, potentially. But we'll just encode that as a dev error for a moment. I think it's operation assignment. So I guess those are in mod, those usages. Yeah. Oh yeah, and that can be removed. And also operator assignment, left hand side, not variable. Oh, I thought Clippy ran before line length checks. But what I'll do is I'll resolve the line length issues first, and then I would have thought that that would get flagged by Clippy, but I guess it's being used in main, or at least referred to in main, and I guess that's the only place. Oh, it's not even being referred to in main. So I wonder, will something break if I remove it? Doesn't look like it so far anyway. Cool, and that's more or less it. Hi, welcome to the channel, Lucky Pillow. Yeah, I can I can appreciate that. So what I'm doing here is writing a programming language in Rust, and there is a lot going on as well, and I would say that my my terminal setup is possibly a little noisy at times, but hopefully digging through the code itself is, on the likes of GitHub and things like that, is hopefully more explanatory. But yeah, there's probably a lot of confusing elements. But with that said, that basically brings me up to the point of actually committing this. So finally, this is one of the last features to be implemented in this iteration of the language, and that is operation assignments. And it's not necessarily the first implementation of it, but actually adds support for operation assignments on different left-hand sides. And that is a big feature finally landed. I feel like I've been stuck on that one for weeks, if not months. And even so, that the feature is not fully landed just yet, because there is that last test, or that last piece of the feature, which is support for list concatenation, which is something that for whatever reason I've overlooked so far. So let's go ahead, and I believe it was in variables I had implemented the test but not actually committed it. So let's go ahead and uncomment all of that, and we'll also add it into features. So we have operations precedence, operation assignments, and operation assignment strings. Let's do operation assignment lists. And do we have just general string concatenation? So yeah, we will do something similar for lists. So we'll go 1, 2 plus 3, 4. And will that go ahead of strings? No, we'll do it after strings. So that's 2, 3, 4. And down here it's going to be x is equal to 1, 2. Then we'll have 3, 4. And again we will have 1, 2, 3, 4. And we'll also add a test. Well, we'll need to add documentation for that too. I feel like Boolean operations can be, although it's kind of put closely to equality. Hi Onyx, welcome back. So yeah, I guess I'll copy this section strings and implement lists. So we'll have 1 and 2 plus 3 3 and 4, and that will result in 1, 2, 3, 4. Can be used as shorthand for assigning the result of a concatenation to a variable. In this context, is it concatenation or just catenation? Oh, thanks. Yeah, different people have different reactions to it. So it's the Kinesis Advantage 2, and I believe the keys themselves are Cherry MXs. Let me see. Yeah, Cherry MX switches. So it's Kinesis Advantage 2. Yeah, it's yeah, absolutely. I mean, it is an investment for kind of wrist health and things like that. But oh, sorry, I could see your comment there. Yeah, so you were just saying that it's very expensive. Absolutely, it's an investment for my wrist, because I used to get a lot more anyway, just massive RSI and things like that. And I would say that things have improved in general since using the Kinesis, but I also do a lot of other things, including kind of using alternate layouts and just avoiding putting my wrists into convoluted positions, like having laptops or the laptop in bed or on the sofa. It always makes it flare up. So it's a combination of good equipment, but also actually having good wrist hygiene. Yeah, I mean, that's the perfect time to get it, because you'll be setting up your environment to make it suit the way that you work. So that makes total sense. And yeah, especially, you know, when you're working, you'll be able to actually help pay it off and things like that. So again, this is being maybe a little kind of pragmatic, but yeah, this is fine. So we'll go with that. Result of a concatenation, and that's the same result as earlier. Be removed, so that's the docs updated, and finally we will put it into this file as well. So we have concatenation, so we have string concatenation and list concatenation. These tests are basically all the same things. They're kind of duplicated across files, but I think it's nice to have them all in suitable files. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, I would say that's one thing as well, is that with games in particular, or I feel like games in general, the keyboard is less the issue in that circumstance compared to the mouse. I think the mouse has also been a huge source of carpal tunnel issues for me in the past as well, to the extent that, you know, there are lots of ergonomic mice, and I guess you can have the vertical ones, you can have the ball-based ones. The thing that I actually have found the most useful, I think, is the Apple Magic trackpad or whatever. It's, you know, I guess it's not necessarily useful for gaming or things like that. I haven't really tried, but I wouldn't imagine it's good for it. But in terms of everything outside of gaming, it's very nice, because very easy to scroll with it. You're not pinching on it. I mean, you can't pinch on it in terms of the usual mouse grip. Very nice and smooth gestures, very responsive. So at least outside of gaming, that can be useful as well, because I know lots of people try out, and I've tried them out as well, like lots of different ergonomic mice, and this tended to be the one that helped me the best. The trackpad, I mean, for me, it seemed like a fairly natural transition from the laptop, because I always found the trackpads on laptops to be very nice, especially the ones on Macs. So for me, it seemed a very kind of smooth transition. But again, it depends on what your uses are and what you use the mouse for and things like that. So I have a very specific I guess use case. So with that all said, I believe the last thing I'll need to do is just jump into eval-mod, and it would be apply binary operation. We'll get down into lists and basically do the same. Well, it depends on how this is implemented, but I guess it'll be concat as well. Cannot be called on that. So maybe what I can do is just look up Rust vectors. Yeah, I've done a lot of Java actually. So primarily in college, but also I've written some programming language stuff in Antler. I've done a bunch of Android applications in Android Studio, and so that's all with Java. I've never used Kotlin, even though I'd say that would have made my Android experience a little bit better. But yeah, I've done a lot of Java, I would say. It wouldn't be so, I haven't done it in a while, so I'm probably fairly rusty to it. I mean, please feel free. I'm not sure how much I'll be able to help. Like I say, I'm a bit out of the loop with Java, but if it's anything that I can help with, I'll do what I can. So let's see, extend from slice, clones and appends all elements in a slice to the vector. Could I... So there's also append, leaving the other one empty. I wonder, is there an easy one to... Yeah, do a concatenation. Maybe Rust concat vectors, or vex, I guess. To check if your homework's right. I mean, that might be a little more complicated. What I would suggest is, so for that kind of situation, you can maybe check out the Discord and send me a message on that. I can't guarantee what I'll be able to help with. I mean, it wouldn't necessarily be within the scope of what I'd be doing here, but I might be able to at least point you in the right direction in terms of what you need. So maybe try there. So what's the best way to concatenate vectors? And just do a push, so it has append. Maybe extend is what I'm looking for. So there's extend from within, copies elements from source to the end of the vector, what does it return? This doesn't return anything. And same for that, so both of them. Yeah, so concat doesn't seem to work. Why isn't concat working? Oh, because I have to dereference the... Yeah. Now, that could be problematic. So what I'll do is, I was just about to do a deref of A and B on the one line. However, that could be dangerous because if I were to do it that way, then it could result in deadlock. And so what I'm going to do is actually introduce a new test to verify that that doesn't happen. So for that, I probably need to do can I do it like that? No. Now that was also something that I was wanting to remove from the files. Now this isn't the end of the world, but it would have been nicer to be able to leave it out. But yeah, so what I'll do is... Oh, thanks for the question. So the Discord, I believe the link should be in the... what have you, the Twitch description of the current channel. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is, starting off, I'll add in those. And I believe everything uses trilocks, so when I get a deadlock, I should get an actual panic rather than a deadlock. Oh, because I didn't save it or race condition when saving the files. But let's see, it was in operations. So concatenation, duplicated list, or so that's on the sidebar. I believe there should be some kind of channel description. Let me see. Twitch channel Whoops. Bit of recursion there. Let me see. Just a moment. Yeah, so maybe in the bio for the profile, so I guess it's in the about section of the stream. Yeah, maybe I can add it to some of the links. Might be possible to add a new link. Let's see. Let's try that. Okay, maybe something has updated there. Yeah, we'll see. Again, even though I've been using Twitch for a while, I'm still not 100% on the UI and stuff like that. So let me know if that works for you or not. So with that said, yeah, so we've got panic here. So it would have blocked if we had been doing it the way I had kind of done it initially. But if we set it up in this way where we clone the lists first, then we should be all good. And maybe we'll add a combinations test. And what we'll do is concatenation same list modification, and what we'll do is we'll set y equal to x plus x. If we do, for example, yeah, this is a really convoluted test, but if we do bump the age on the first piece and then print x0 dot age, we should still get 21. And so that is eval mod. And that's again too many lines, which we will just ignore. But I think that's kind of the nature with a lot of these kinds of interpreters and depth first, or well, I can't remember the name of these kind of interpreters, not depth first search ones, but tree walking parsers and interpreters, I guess, is you're going to have a lot of just case statements, and you could probably do something sophisticated with hash maps and things like that, and mapping operations to anonymous functions and things like that, but sometimes it's as easy to just inline it and it's fine. So list concatenation is finally part of the language after having not realized that it wasn't part of the language. So we've concatenation, and we have it as an operation assignment as well. And that is the language more or less feature complete at long last. That was a lot of work. Now there's still a few little bits to be done. I'm doing try locks instead of locks. I have a few errors to handle, and I also want to add semicolon eliding, I'm not sure, but having it so that semicolons aren't actually necessary in the language, not in the JavaScript style where you can have them or not, it's your decision, but more in the Go style. Now, I can't remember if you can actually, well, I guess there are semicolons in parts of the code, but that's a tangent. Regardless, that is the language basically done. Finally, that is operator assignment fixed, and it can be done with, like, operator assignment can be performed with variables, but also index lookups and all those kinds of things. So that is very exciting and a big relief as well. I mean, I feel like I was stuck on that feature in particular for a long time, and the whole messing around with how values are actually represented in the language. I've gone down a lot of rabbit holes to do that. So this has been a really nice milestone to finally hit. So with that said, I am going to take a pause on the, I say pause, I'm going to be ending the stream for today. Let me just take a look at, let's see, the project so far. So 2 minutes ago, latest change. So 90 commits so far. Did I bump the feature, or did I bump the version number? No, and I also committed something that I shouldn't have. Oh no, I didn't commit that. But regardless, I should have bumped the version number. So what I will do, thanks very much, and thanks for commenting in. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to rebuild that, add the version changes to the latest commit. Now that's a destructive update, but since I'm the only author, and I'm still going to do force with lease anyway, but I'm going to do a destructive update of the GitHub. But regardless, that is a nice milestone. And let's take a look at the docs, all the features that are there so far. I mean, they're fairly nondescript. They're really just your bog standard features, but it was actually a lot of work to just get them implemented in a really solid, at least to my satisfaction, a solid way. And so, yeah. So there's a lot to look forward to now. I feel like all the rest of the features are going to be, at least to me, a lot more exciting. So I'm really looking forward to that. So as I said, thanks very much to everyone for commenting into the stream today, and I always enjoy those conversations. And with that all said, also thanks to everyone as always for watching. It's really fantastic to get this far. So if you've been watching along as the stream has been going along, thanks very much. I really appreciate that. And I will see you again. Take care.